Welcome back to another episode of The Road to 2200. I am 1995. My opponent is 1986. Let's do a Sicilian. Ooh, is it going to be an open Sicilian even? Come on. D4. D4. All right, here we go. We've got ourselves a Najdorf, perhaps. Very rare sighting. Now, but what? It'll do something bizarre? Nope. All right. We've got the beginnings of the Najdorf. Now white can do anything. The terrifying part of the Najdorf. And they play a move that I've spent quite a bit of time studying. So bishop e2 means that I can play e5 and kick him. If they play bishop g5, that's a little too aggressive. It loses too much control over d5, but we'll get control back. It's fine. I will match their bishop play with my bishop play. Let's see what they do. Okay, so they're castling. Pretty tempted to match them with a castle of my own. What if they jump in immediately? If I go here and they play f4, I would take... I don't think it matters. The bishop e2 variant is pretty slow. It's not like the bishop e3 variant or the bishop g5 variant, which are kind of saying, like, you know what you're doing? Because if not, I might run you down. So I'm going to castle. That seems like a perfectly fine response. My king is safe. I'm getting developed. The question will be, where does this knight go? Okay, f4 is a very standard response. And let's see, and the stuff I've been looking at, takes seems like the right answer. And then, like, this lone d5 pawn looks a little worrisome, but it's really not bad. We're backing up twice currently. We can push it at some point. I think we take here, and then the real question is, I'm forgetting, the knight can go to either d7 or c6 in this particular variant, and I'm forgetting which way it goes. I suppose if I put it on d7 now, I'm just hanging d6, right? So that answers that question temporarily. I'm not developed enough to play b5. I want to move the knight and put the rook on c8. And maybe the queen on c7. I'm not sure I want to voluntarily jump onto this diagonal. So what I want to do is go here and see, just do a quick calculation of, like, can they hit this pawn another time? Can they do something really interesting? Like, what if they push this pawn? That doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, so I think this time I'm going to c6. So this knight usually wants to go to d7, but I think the concrete line says that that would be a bad idea, unless I had something that I wasn't seeing, which is possible. I'm so new to the Najdorf. There's all these cool little wrinkles, and I never see them, and I'm just learning them. It's like with all openings, the more you play them, the more you learn them. And the problem is no one plays the Najdorf, or no one plays the Open Sicilian, so it's hard to even practice the Najdorf. But so it's exciting just to practice, even if we lose. That's fine. We will learn something about the Najdorf today. Interesting point. This knight often goes here. And then if they take, well, then our weak d5 pawn situation has been resolved. They're the only person with a isolated pawn. Ours is not isolated. At some point we can play f6, connect it up. And we're looking good. So this is certainly a move in the future, whether that's the distant future or the near future. Rook c8 is certainly a move we're going to be looking at, depending on what our opponent does. I don't really know what our opponent does. That's such a weird looking move. So let's figure out the point. My guess is the point is that they can play rook d1, and then something like knight d5 looks much worse. But let's not go too far down that. They could also bring the queen around here, which doesn't look as good. There's no squares over there that are good. So I think the main point is to play rook d1, which, okay, like connecting the rooks is a good idea. Then they can come here. So what do we want to do about that? We could just play d5 now, but I don't think they're compelled to take, right? They can just push by. It's not that big of a problem. I'm kind of looking at queen c7. Yes, I'm stepping into this pin, which is kind of annoying. But it means I can't play d5. The question, though, is what if they play knight c5? I can't take, but do I mind that knight being there? I do. I don't really want it to trade for that bishop right in that way. If I was going to do that, I think I would want to trade first and then make this move. Another question is just what about knight d5 now? Then they go rook d1 and then I move over. Does that change things enough? Then if they put the knight here, we just take it. So I think this works pretty well. And like I said, I'm not upset about this. They're almost certainly going here because now they're like, aha, the queen will be vulnerable, but I don't really want my queen here anyway. And I'm even tempted to move it to like here to attack that pawn through there, letting me still put pressure here. Perhaps do this the patented C-file sacrifice, though. That sacrifice usually only works well when the king is over there. It's a little bit rare, I think, to see it with the king on the other side. Okay. What will my opponent do now? That knight's looking pretty nice. Our pieces are not looking bad. We're going to get our rook on c8. Our bishop on e7 temporarily is not great, but especially if they ever feel compelled to take that knight, the bishop comes alive. When our other knight moves, then the bishop's suddenly on a pretty decent diagonal, backed up by the queen. So it feels like we've got some pretty good stuff brewing here. In fact, that knight is so powerful. There's a part of me tempted to play knight d7 and just say, we'll back him up again. Okay, so this is threatening. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Certainly go queen c7 to address that. But then if they play knight c5, well, I guess we could still take the knight, right? With the queen. Is the queen doing anything else? I don't think so. I think we can go here and be fine with that. And if this knight goes here, we're taking with the bishop, not the knight. If you take with the bishop, the pawn comes in, and then this bishop is kind of like, what are we doing? I don't really want to take with anything, though. I like them having this pawn here. Probably rook c8 is next. Then it might be time to dislodge that guy. Okay, so they're putting yet another attacker on that. It's kind of confusing me. So like, it's only attacked once, and if they take here, it's not like the rook is attacking it any more times. So I don't totally get. I don't think it's doing anything. Is my point. Maybe well, no, that still doesn't do anything. All right, I'm just gonna load up here with this idea. And then the c pawn will be weak, queen will infiltrate, and maybe we'll get some business going here. Most likely, if I play b5, b4, the knight will end up on d5. I'll take with the bishop, they'll take with the pawn. And I don't have a great way to target that square again. The problem is, in these lines, when you play b5, a wise player will play b4 or a4 and mess with you. So I don't know. I found myself in these bishop e2 lines thinking that b5 was usually not that great. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. That is hitting my bishop, which I don't care about that much. Where's the knight going, though? Ah, the knight is going there. I would be pretty fine, I think, taking there, though. This pawn looks weaker and weaker. I can also go here. This is a very common theme in these Sicilians that I've seen so far. Doesn't do anything about this issue. Like if I take, they take, it's with check. So I don't really want to do that. So if I go here and they jump into here, I pretty much need to wait. Yeah, okay. Where's the best spot for this bishop? If I move the bishop back to d7, it kind of feels just in the way of everything. So that knight move looks pretty solid. I think I'm probably going to go to c4. That's just a pattern I've seen enough times that my brain is like, I think it should be good. Oh, yeah, I guess either way it removes a defender of the d pawn, which is annoying. Okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know if this is right. We shall see. The nice thing is, if I end up going here, this will fall. And then the pawn next to it on the b file is weak. So, and the knight would be weak. This is assuming like this knight comes into here. Yeah, so maybe I can just do this. So takes. I kind of assume they have to take back, right? Because it's like I'm up a piece, they tie it, I'm up a piece. I think they have to take back, and then this rook comes in. I'm up a pawn, hitting the piece, hitting another pawn. That looks pretty strong. Let's do it. I think it works. I didn't calculate it maybe as carefully as I should have because there is all this. So likely they'll be able to... What? What just happened? Did I really just get mated? Did I really not appreciate the change in the position that much? That is shocking. Wow. I am incredibly embarrassed. Okay, so we went into an open Sicilian. Wow. Okay. The comments are going to be brutal. We went to the bishop e2 variant. Let me turn on the book. Okay, so these are all mainline moves, and yeah, so the main line is to do this first, and then just keep copying. So I did that in a slightly wrong order, and the reason it's the wrong order is because they can play f4 a little faster. It's not necessarily horrible, but it's the wrong order. But yeah, that's right. I'm remembering this now. And if they go here, you're forced to go here because after here, this is what I was talking about with this bishop c4 stuff. So that's what I'm remembering. So it was a mistake for me to go there, but they didn't do anything about it. Now they play there. I take. We're all main line now. I was correct that we go to c6 in this line. Wow. The book says that white has a move here, queen e1, which my opponent makes, which wins a huge amount of the time, which is kind of shocking to me. And that black's #1 move is rook or knight e8, which looks staggeringly crazy to me. So I played the second best move according to the database. Okay. Yeah. And so after this, or at least I assumed this was coming. And then my plan was to go here. And then nope, not there. Here. Okay, that's the move I missed. This is the move the database likes, or sorry, that the engine likes, and the database? Yeah, and the database. And then the move that the engine likes is rook a to c8. The other move the engine likes is the #1 move in the database, which is just to play b5 and start this stuff. I really didn't like this. I mean, it's not the worst, but I thought I didn't want to do that. Okay, so I was surprised that they brought the queen over. It didn't seem to do much. The engine likes F to G4. So to come in here, bolstering this knight. It doesn't look good because of this. What am I missing? What I'm missing is that this wins. Because of here. Wow. The queen is trapped. Look at this. The queen is trapped. That's stunning. Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, so that's why the computer likes that so much. Otherwise, it says rook c8's great. This is fine, but it doesn't love it. Okay, now we're doubled. Everything's fine. And then this loses on the spot. Okay. So the reason this loses on the spot is because of this idea. And I calculated that it wasn't that bad. They would go here. I would go here. They would go here. I calculated this. This, the computer says, is losing. They'll go here. What I should have done is calculated this move, hitting the queen. The queen comes across to guard the pawn. Now the knight jumps to g4. We're threatening this. And we're doing quite well. We're up a whole point with even and up a pawn. So we're doing well. What I missed was this knight has another job here. It's part of a checkmate pattern. Just a queen in your face checkmate. Oh, wow. That's a really staggering oversight, because, you know, when the knight landed here, I calculated all of it. I calculated that it is going to go here. And so I'm going to go here, and then it's going to go there, and then it's going to go here. And I calculated this whole line, and then it was just like, well, also made. So I'm trying to figure out, to put in my mind, what it is that I should take away from this debilitating loss. And I think it's just simply that when you identify a threat that a piece is making, it's dangerous to just immediately stop and say, cool, I figured it out. Especially if it's like takes you half a second. Look a little bit more, I guess. I guess that's the answer. Look, especially when, like, it didn't even enter my mind that the knight was like near my king. It was only that it could go here and check. By the way, I noted the check, which is obviously near my king. So very, very annoying, disappointing loss. But let's see, what would I have done had I seen that? I think I probably would have just dropped the queen back, or sorry, the bishop back. The engine doesn't like that, and the engine says that we should just ignore that and let them trade if that's what they want. And we could just do lots of other things. We could develop the rook. We could develop the rook to here. We could put the queen here, like I had talked about earlier, with a threat on that pawn. Lots of things we could do. And then if they take, we take, and the engine says that's totally fine. We should be happy with this. Doesn't look like happiness to me. All right, let's go back to the opening, just so I can see what my takeaway is here. So against the bishop e2 line, I think the big takeaway was to remember I am supposed to be copying win the castle, because I don't want to put this out too early. And then here, I'm happy I remembered that, and even this move. And then I think this is fine. So I think I've played the opening very well, other than the early not copying problem. And then here I missed the tactical idea, but I think I'm okay with that. Interestingly, Peter likes this as a good move, but I think this would have been probably the right move. Okay, well, that's gonna do it. I mean, the big takeaway is, you know, don't get made like a fool when you're, you know, recording an episode where you're talking about getting to 2200. It's pretty humiliating to get made in that fashion, and it doesn't feel great. It injures your psychology. So be careful out there, people. Be careful out there. I'll see you next time on the road to 2200.